Okay. I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting of February the 6th. Madam Commission Secretary, please take the roll call.
Commissioner Armando?
Present.
Commissioner Fuentes? Commissioner Ledden?
Present.
Vice Chair Barajas?
Present.
Chair Carter?
Present. Okay. Commissioner Armando will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand? You be seated. Okay, this is the time for presentation items. We have two presentation items this evening. Community Director Gail Ackerman will introduce these items.
Yes, our first presentation this evening is the Code Enforcement Activity Report for the fourth quarter, and Afrouz Rashidian is here this evening with the report.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. During the fourth quarter, Code Enforcement added 115 new cases to the 58 cases carried over from the third quarter of 2019. We closed 147 cases during the same period, and we begin the first quarter of 2020 with an active caseload of 88 cases. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions of staff?
Yeah, is this okay? So I noticed that a large majority of the cases were public nuisance. Can you go into a little more detail on what constitutes a public nuisance, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, basically, a public nuisance would be anything that is on the exterior of the home. So, most would be like overgrown vegetation, any sort of like garbage cans left out longer than they needed to be, cars, inoperable vehicles on the driveway. Those would all constitute of public nuisance.
Is that typically residents calling it in, or do we have staff driving around looking for them, or?
It's a little bit of both. At the moment, we're more reactive, where we're getting calls in, but at the same time, while we're out, if we're out and we see something, we also make note of that and bring that in as well.
Are there any additional? Commissioner Ledden?
I had a question for you. I was approached by a resident about illegal marijuana dispensaries in the city. What are we doing about those?
Well, we do not allow dispensaries in the city at all. So as soon as we hear of any going on in the city, that is something that we kind of take into action and work with the city attorneys to figure out the best route. But initially, our first course of action would be to make sure that, we identify which ones they are and go after getting them out of our city as quickly as possible.
Yeah, because he mentioned there was one in particular, which I won't mention from here, but he said that they'd already been basically, I'll use the term busted twice already, and then they open up the next day and they're right back in business again. So,
would that be in the same location? And do you know which one that would be?
Yes, same location.
And do you know which one that would be, so I can make note of it? And
I'll get you that information after the meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Are there any other questions of staff? Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks.
This evening with that report.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I'm here to give the Public Works Quarterly update for the fourth quarter of 2019. Hope everybody had a chance to review the report. Our report covers our capital improvement program, which covers facilities, traffic improvements, street improvements, environmental projects, and then our park and landscape improvements. The biggest highlights I'll bring to your attention and then ask if you have any questions. We're in our new facility, so yes, we have completed the Civic Center. Here we are. We're very happy to be here. The next is we're continuing to work on our street and resurfacing program. Dimension has finished. Civic Center Drive leading in here has completed, and we're still working on Portola to finish that project off. It's anticipated to be completing soon. Some scheduling issues with the weather. Right now it's a little cold to be paving. And then Portola Park is another large project going on, It's currently under construction. It's starting to come into form, and we anticipate completion being in August of this year. So those are the few highlights. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to help.
Are any questions? Commissioner Mondo.
Yeah, the signal that's right here to off of, coming in there, is there an ETA when they might have that up and running?
We're looking about a month and a half out. It's Edison, so unfortunately we're at their mercy for delivering the power. But we've paid our invoice. We've scheduled the work with our contractor to get out there, and then it has a 30-day waiting period once all that stuff is done for Edison before they'll schedule energizing it. So
Thanks.
Any other additional questions? I do have one before we leave. I had somebody ask me, and I wasn't able to give them a definitive on it. We've had a lot of holes, if you will, made on Lake Forest where they're putting in the cable. I guess I don't know if that's Edison or Cox that's doing that. Some of the fills were poorly done. Are we going to go back and make sure that those are smoothed out? Because it was pretty rough there for a while.
Yes, the particular utility that you're looking at is the next generation. It's the 5th generation of the telecommunications. It's a multi-step process that they have. So first they go in, they pothole to identify all the utilities, and they come back, temporary patch them. Those sometimes get rough, but our inspector follows up after them and tries to keep on top of them to keep those to a satisfactory level. But at the end of the day, when they finish doing the potholing, they coming back, laying all the fiber in the ground, then they come back and do a restoration. That's where you'll see the full lane width style patching that we do standard around here.
Thank you very much. Are any other questions of staff? Thank you much for your report.
Thank you very much.
Okay. This is the time for public comments to address the commission on matters not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of our commission. If you'd like to participate, please fill out an orange speaker card, turn it in to the commission secretary, and your name will be called. When you're called to speak, the microphone light will turn red, and will begin flashing when 30 seconds remain. Please note that the timer will be displayed right above. After 3 minutes, please wrap up your public comments. Madam Commission Secretary, have we received any speaker requests?
We have one speaker, Heiko Peschel.
Okay.
Good evening. Heiko Peschel for Perel Foothill Ranch. And Mr. Chairman, I have to agree with you on the potholes. When they started, and they seem to go back and forth and here and there and everywhere, and the roads are pretty rough. I know some roads have been worked on, some haven't, and hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years that will all be resurfaced and refinished, and that's a hope. Anyway, Happy New Year. I wasn't here last month. I don't know if you were or not, but I did want to speak on item number 4 on the agenda. Only one problem: it's not on the agenda. After having read today's register, when I first read the file here, it said 90,000 square feet of building. That's a lot of building. And what the register explained is basically it's going to be built to replace existing, quote, temporary structures, which I was not aware of. Otherwise, I was going to start doing a lot of yelling, because that's a lot of building. And the other thing is a mitigated negative declaration, impact declaration. I'm not sure that 90,000 square feet is negative impact. There's got to be some impact there that is will affect the neighborhood, the attendance at the church, if nothing else. So pretty much that's most of it. I noticed that there's a builder in Portola Hills that is not a very happy camper right now because the water districts are going after him for making a mess up there. Or have you guys been following that? I hope you have. Also, the state mandated housing thingy. How are we going to build another, 30,000 houses to house the people that aren't already here? That's a question. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much. Gail, do we have any additional? No, no. Madam Secretary, do we have any additional?
I have not received any.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is the time for commission to consider matters listed under the consent calendar, which includes 3 items. Do any commissioners wish to discuss items, or is there a motion to consider?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yes, moved and second.
Motion passes unanimously.
Progress, thank you very much. For those of you who don't know, we had a little technical difficulty at our first meeting, and that is one that apparently has been resolved. Great. Okay. The motion has been approved, and that's, now we'll consider the public hearing items for item number 4.
Yes, item number 4 is a site development permit for the construction of a new 92,000 square foot worship center at the Saddleback Valley Church. And Chairman, today we received a letter from the applicant and architect of the project, James Thayer, requesting that this item be taken off the agenda. They will notify us in the near future regarding proposed changes to their plans. So this item will not be heard this evening.
Okay, and we're not putting it up to a specific date. We'll just wait for them to come back, correct?
That's correct.
Very good. Okay. We have an additional item, I believe.
That's right. Item 5 is the minor plan sign program for permanent community identification and wayfinding signs. And tonight, Debbie Drassler has a staff report for you.
Hello. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The item before you tonight is a minor planned sign program for permanent community identification and a minor planned sign program for temporary subdivision and model home signage. Both planned sign programs are for the Serrano Summit residential community, which over the past year, the Planning Commission has approved numerous entitlements, permitting the development of 537 dwelling units within 6 of the residential neighborhoods, a community recreation center, and 2 neighborhood parks. As evident, driving down Civic Center to City Hall, you've seen that the construction has begun, and the model homes for Amara and Soria are tentatively scheduled to open February 8th, so just in 2 days. The minor plan site program for the permanent community signage is comprised of 6 signs and a total of 77 permanent signs, including the wayfinding signs, all of which will be located on private property. As discussed in more details in your staff report and illustrated in the attached plans, the proposed permanent signage for the community is going to include 2 monument signs along Serrano Summit Drive identifying the residential community, monument wall signs identifying the community clubhouse and 2 neighborhood parks, park rules signs listing park hours, rules, and regulations, and wayfinding signs identifying the residential units within the court enclaves and the multifamily condominiums, as well as along the pedestrian trails. With the exception of the proposed community clubhouse and the neighborhood park signs, which includes a recessed spotlight that's integrated into the monument wall design, no other signs will be illuminated. The minor planned sign program for the temporary subdivision and model home signage includes 15 sign types and a total of 154 signs, which are organized into 2 major categories: community signage and model home signage. The proposed temporary community signage is comprised of 5 sign types located along the major streets and at key intersections within the development. These signs include a kiosk sign, directional signs, community flags, fence wrap banner signs, and a project ID signs. The community signage serves 2 purposes: the announcing of the new residential community and its facilities, and directing the public to the 6 different residential neighborhoods within the development. The proposed temporary model home signage is comprised of 10 sign types, all apportioned within each model home complex. Signage includes the neighborhood banners, directional signs, model identification, marketing information, and model parking and sales identification signs. The model home signs serve the purpose of distinguishing the different neighborhoods and assisting and directing customers through the model home complex themselves. Pursuant to the Serrano Summit Area Plan, a master sign program is to be provided subject to the requirements of the city sign code, which requires the approval of a minor plan sign program by the Planning Commission for both the permanent community identification signage and the temporary model home signage. Although the zoning ordinance does not specify the exact types of signage or the dimensions permitted, the proposed master plan program is typical for a new residential community. The proposed permanent and temporary signs are located on private property. They are not excessive in number, size, or height, and the number of the temporary signs is adequate to help the prospective buyers safely navigate the site. Further, the design and proposed colors for the permanent and temporary signs are consistent with the character of the new community and will create a consistent appearance among the different neighborhoods during all construction phases for the project. Accordingly, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt the two resolutions, one approving a minor plan site program for permanent community signage and one for approving a minor plan sign program for temporary model home signage. I'd like to say the applicant is in the audience tonight, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions of staff? Okay. Would the applicant care to speak to us on the item here?
Hi, good evening. I wasn't prepared to make a speech of any sort, but this is so fancy. After coming to see you, like 8 or 9 times last year.
I just wonder if this is interesting to you from your perspective as it is from our perspective out that way, because it is quite different.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very nice. It smells good, too. So, yeah, I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Do we have any questions for the applicant? Okay, at this time.
Will you have the signs up by the 8th?
God willing, yes.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Do you know when the community sign, the main monument, is expected to be up, and how deep that pool is going to be where the water is for that sign?
Yes. So we have the two different, what we call our monument signage. Mm-hmm. So right at our entry, on the right-hand side as you drive in, there's a wall that we just are finishing as we speak. Assuming that we get approval tonight, we're ready to install our letters on the sign, our monument, or our logo letters on that sign tomorrow. And then the other monument that you're talking about, or monument signage, which is a little further up Serrano Summit Drive, which is in the water feature.
Yes.
So I'll call it the tub, or the actual water feature tub area is 18 inches deep, and within that there's rocks. So the actual water level is actually only 6 inches deep, with like the pebbles at the bottom. Actually, I didn't really explain that right. The outside of the wall is 18 inches tall, but the actual basin is 6 inches. So within the 6 inches of water, there's like 2 inches of rock. So the actual water level is about 4 inches.
Okay. And is that going to be on some sort of like recycled system to
Yes.
keep that water not stagnant?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. I think it looks beautiful, so I'm excited to see what it's going to look like at the end. Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions of the applicant? I want to comment. It's sort of different having seen these in the past just for one development. It was interesting to see you come forward with all 6 of them at one time, which is a good way to do it as far as, you know, you got everything in line, so everything seems to be going good. And look forward to seeing it go in.
Yeah, as was mentioned earlier, we have our grand opening this Saturday,
Okay.
10 a.m. We're opening our first two neighborhoods, Amara and Soria, which are the two southerly most neighborhoods. And then the other four will be following up probably June or July of this year.
Very good.
For those openings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Madam Secretary, do we have any other?
I have not received any other speaker cards.
And no written, or do we have any written?
No, I have not.
All right, fine. Well, let's go ahead and bring it up here for discussion. Anybody want to kick off as far as they want to do? Would anybody like to?
I think it's very nicely what they've done. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and bring it up here and bring it to a vote and approve staff recommendation.
Okay,
I'll second
is there a
that.
second? Okay,
I'll
it's been a
second.
second. It's been moved and second. All in favor, we'll go ahead and vote. Okay,
Motion passes unanimously.
all right, thank you very much. Excellent, excellent. Okay, Gail, you want to lead us to the next step we're going to? I think it's our discussion item, is it not?
Find that agenda.
It's our calendar. They're
Okay.
the Planning Commission meeting calendar. So this reflects the new calendar that was approved by the City Council. And we are primarily meeting in the first week. We're always meeting the first Thursday following the first Tuesday of the month. And so it generally is, I think in the month of July it's a little bit different, but we have these calendars here for you.
Thank you very much.
One way it's the first full week of the month it appears. The one when you've got a full week.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it, because if the month starts on a Thursday or a Wednesday, then it goes to the next week, so maybe the first full week is.
Right, it really keys off the City Council meeting date. So the City Council's the first Tuesday, and so it gets a little strange in there, but we want, of course, our goal in this is to get all the commissions meeting the same week so that we have this dais set up. And then this takes a little bit of work, but of course the dais moves all the way back, so it allows us for the rest an easier rental period for other people that want to use this space.
Okay. Thank you very much. And there are no further items on the agenda, I do not believe. So with that, we can move on to director's comments.
I just wanted to add, we were talking about signage, and we have been working with the BIA representatives. Back in 2014, we had a wayfinding signage program. The signs are quite hidden. Every now and then you'll see one. They're designed to be somewhat camouflaged into the environment. They're green and brown and with a little bit of orange, and you can see one every now and then. So we've been working to create a more unified signage that would identify both the Civic Center as well as some of the new Serrano Summit and the Terracina, some of the newer communities that are just coming online. And so we've got kind of a cohesive blue signage, more reflective of the city's branding. We've cut down the number of panels, and hopefully it'll be more effective signage. So the final agreements have not been signed, but that's something in the works, and so at some point you'll be seeing those kind of cropping up. So it's a small sign, but I think it will serve a couple of purposes there. And then I had just a comment on the calendar. So our next meeting is, of course, March 5th. And coming up, we also have a special meeting that the City Council calendared sometime next year, and it's going to be March 17th. And it's a joint meeting of the three commissions and the council. So we'll be providing you with more information, but I just wanted to put that date out there. So that's March 17th, and we'll be meeting with Chair Carter to discuss how we can provide input at that meeting. And that's all.
The
Very good.
17th of March, is there like green beer going to be served? No?
No,
Okay, just,
probably not. I wouldn't get my hopes up on that.
Okay. City Attorney.
Thank you, no comment.
Okay, well, I'll wait for that one. Okay, let's move on to Planning Commission comments. Commissioner Raimondo.
No comment. Looks like these things are working better than last time, and probably it'll be better next month too. So we're ironing out the bugs.
Okay. Commissioner Fuentes.
No comment.
Commissioner Ludden.
No comment.
Boy. Vice Chair Barajas.
No comment other than I hope everyone has a happy Valentine's Day coming up.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was February, so I'm going to be in trouble. Anyway, Gail, we had some items in the email regarding some training, or we're registered for them, et cetera, et cetera. Do you know what that's all about?
Sexual harassment training.
Yeah, but there's like 5 or different.
It's just online, it's very
It's
simple.
all it is, it's online?
You might not pass, but it is simple.
Okay. Is there a time frame that that's supposed to be completed by?
That might have been from the city clerk's department. that
I
sent
believe
that
so,
out.
yes.
So we
I
can
don't
find out
have
and
it
let you
here, I'd
know.
refer specifically to
And
it. but that
they were
was-
saying they were going to send out an email to register whatever, which I haven't received
It
yet.
came right after that. You should have gotten it right then.
Yeah, I received confirmation that they were all set up in my email with the link, so
We'll have to
I assume we're just to go online and do it that way.
Jennifer can work with the clerk's office, and we'll send you another email so it's clear that what our time frame is.
Okay, very good. Thank you much. Also, Madam City Attorney, I understand this may be our last meeting to see you this time?
Not last overall.
No, not overall, for a
Chair and
while.
Commissioners, but yes, this will probably be my last planning commission meeting before my leave, my maternity leave, and so I look forward to seeing you guys later this year, probably in July again.
Okay, and what is the date that we're anticipating the arrival?
Next month, around the 13th.
And I'm going to ask questions. You have a name?
No.
No name at this time?
Yes. it's
Okay.
third, so
Okay,
no name yet.
we'll go ahead and we'll dispense with that. We'll move on. Okay, are there any other comments anyone wishes to make at this point in time? Then I will adjourn this to the next regularly scheduled meeting, and that will be March 5th. Okay, with that, we're closed.